Happy 2023, Humanity Church. I hope that your brunches are going amazing. I know ours is here in Pomona. What a beautiful day to be together here as we celebrate the new year. I love the new year. I love January 1st. This is one of my favorite days of the year, not only because my birthday is in 8 days, but because this is a time that represents fresh starts. This is the time of year where we all make resolutions about the new things that we're going to do, about the things that we're going to stop, the things that we're going to start. The problem is that while today feels like a fresh start, doesn't it? It feels like as the calendars change, today's like a fresh start for all of us. January 1st, we're starting a brand new year. The problem is that you are the same you. That whatever habits you had in 2022, December 31st at 11:59 p.m., you brought with you into January 1st at midnight. And so while it would be nice to think that we get a brand new start, a fresh start, a slate that's completely cleaned off on January 1st, the fact of the matter is that we don't. We are the exact same people. But God understands that we as human beings need restarts. We need a refresh. We need moments where we get do-overs. We need moments like January 1st where we come to it and say, all right, the old year is gone and the new year is coming and we get to start afresh. Now, here's the thing. All throughout the scriptures, God created restart moments for his people. There was this celebration called the Year of Jubilee. We sing a song on Sunday mornings called Jubilee. And every 7 years, people's debt got completely wiped out. Could you imagine that? Waking up and realizing that every single dollar in your bank account is yours and you owe no one nothing. That would be amazing. But the fact of the matter is we don't really get those moments like that in our modern society. But God still understands that we need those moments of restart, of refresh. The word that the scriptures use to define these moments is renew. And the word literally means to make new again. That it's not a complete restart. It's not wiping the slate clean, but it is giving you an opportunity to go again, to start over fresh, to have a restart on your life, on your vision, on where you're headed. It's kind of like renewing your driver's license. Every few years, you have to go into the DMV and renew your driver's license to say, yes, I would like to have a new season of driving. If you didn't go in, your license would expire and you would no longer be able to drive, or you would have to drive illegally if you didn't decide to renew. But when we renew, what we're saying is, look, I would like a new season. I would like another go again at whatever it is that we're up to. With our driver's license, it's saying I'd like to go again with my driving. And in our lives, when we renew our vision, when we renew our commitments, when we renew our relationships, what we're saying is, I would like to go again. I would like to have a fresh start. And it doesn't necessarily negate everything that has been, but it gives me a marker to say there is something brand new that is coming. And let me read you some places in the scriptures where God talks about renewing. In Psalms 51:10, David says, create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Isaiah writes in Isaiah 40:31, he says, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. In Romans, Paul tells us this in chapter 12, verse 2, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. See, what I love is that God is in the business of making all things new. That's what he does. And honestly, it's what he does best in our lives, in the world around us. He loves taking the old and bringing it into a brand new space and transforming it into something unprecedented. And so oftentimes when we talk about this renewal process, we talk about it almost like a magical experience. Like, God, renew me. And we wait for his spirit to come and do its thing in us and around us and through us. But what we read in the scriptures is that we are called to renew our mind, to make our mind new, to take a look at our thinking, old ways of thinking, the ways that we have been thinking, the patterns of thought that we've been engaging in. And as we renew our mind, it transforms our heart, it transforms our body, it transforms our experience in the world around us. And so if we're going to live lives that are renewed, that are constantly starting afresh and be giving new starts to our existence and to our experience around us, then it's our job to be in this space of renewing our mind. The renewal process begins with us taking a look at the new thing that God is calling us into. I find that so many people, including myself at times, live life looking backwards while attempting to move forward. It's the equivalent of driving your car, attempting to go forward, but looking in the rearview mirror at what's happening behind you. There's a number of ways that we do that. Sometimes we find ourselves just ruminating on all of the things in the past that were good or painful, those things that we succeeded in and those things that we failed in. And so oftentimes we find ourselves looking backwards and saying, I wish, I woulda, I shoulda, I coulda. And that keeps us from stepping into the new thing that God is calling us into. The other thing that keeps us from looking forward is oftentimes gauging our progress today based on where we've been. We take a look at the past to inform us of what's possible. So if we were horrible in the past and we've gotten a little better, we're constantly looking backwards to inform us of the progress that we've made. And then we look backwards to inform us of what's possible in the future. It's been a fascinating journey over the past few months as I've lost a considerable amount of weight. Over the last few months, I've lost about 120 pounds. And as I have shrunken in size, I found myself looking to the past to inform me about where my future is going. I found this even in clothes shopping, trying to find new sizes. I would say, well, I'm probably this size based on where I have been, rather than saying, where am I now and where am I heading? And choosing clothes based on that. And so many times I would go in the store, grab a pair of pants, grab a shirt, and come home only to find that they were too big on me because I was gauging what I needed in the moment based on my past experience. And so many of us do that with our relationships, with our vision, with our spirituality, even with our relationship with God. We look at where we've been to inform us of what's possible and where we're headed in the future. And what God calls us into is fully stepping into the present, asking Him, what is it that you have for me now? And where are you calling me into? What is the life that you are calling me into? What is the impact that you are calling me to make? What is the gift that I am called to be for the world around me? And when we live our lives looking backwards in the rearview mirror, trying to drive forward, we oftentimes find ourselves either in a crash and wondering, how did we get to this place? Ever been there in life where your world seems to fall apart and you think, how did I get here? Or worse, I would say, we just drive around aimlessly in our life. We live our lives without purpose, without direction, without meaning. Have you ever gotten in the car and found yourself in a destination that you weren't supposed to be at, or you didn't know how you got there? I remember one time I got in the car and I was supposed to drive home, and seconds later I found myself at LAX airport, simply because I had been driving so many times to LAX, and that's where my mind naturally went when I knew I needed to get somewhere fast. And I was a little afraid that I had no idea how I got there and what I was doing there until I was literally pulling up to the terminal thinking, what am I doing here at Los Angeles International Airport? But we do that in life as well. We find ourselves driving aimlessly. Paul says that we find ourselves fighting aimlessly in life, and we don't know how we got to the destination that we got. I don't know what's worse, having your life crash or living a life filled with a meaningless destination. And when we find ourselves there living a meaningless life, living a life that is filled without purpose or direction, it moves us towards spaces of depression and anxiety and hopelessness. I believe the antidote to all of those things is connecting to the voice of God and hearing Him clearly as to where He is taking you, where He longs to have you renewed, the future that He is calling you into, and the gift that He has created you to be for the world around you. So let's start there. Let's start with intention. The intention that God has for your life in 2023, the intention that you have, the impact that you're committed to make, the gift that you will be in 2023 for the people around you. I want to read to you this passage in Ephesians chapter 5, starting in verse 15. It says, "So be careful how you live. Be mindful in your steps. Don't run around like idiots as the rest of the world does. Instead, walk as the wise. Make the most of every living and breathing moment because these are evil times. So understand and be confident in God's will and don't live thoughtlessly." I love that. I love that Paul calls us to live thoughtful, mindful lives, that we are to take every step, live every breath out with intention and purpose. Not like the idiots in the world around us, but that we are called to live a life with deep meaning and deep purpose. So let's start there. I'd like for you to think of 3 intentions this year. 3 ways that you're going to be thoughtful in your actions, in your ways, in your behavior, your actions, your words. 3 intentions that you would say would guide you over the next year. I want you to think about it like this, that when people are with you, what experience are you committed for them to have with you? When you show up, when you engage other people, when you're in community, when you're at work, when you're at school, when you're at home, what is it that you want to create in the world in 2023? And so right now in your homes, what I'd like for you to do is pass around that intentions list. And I'd like for you to pick 3 intentions. They don't have to be on that list. You can come up with your own, but take a minute and consider, what am I committed to in 2023? What impact do I want to make? When other people are with me, what do I want for them to experience with me? And really give some time to this. In fact, I'll give you about 5 or 6 minutes to consider that, and you can write it down on the paper that your host has. They have pens, everything ready for you. So go ahead and pause the video right now. We're going to give you a few minutes to fill out those intentions list, and then I'll give you some next instructions. So by now you have your top 3 written down on that paper. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. This might be the hard part, if that wasn't already the hard part, is I'm going to ask you to pick your top 1. Out of those 3, what would you say is the most important? What is the intention that you believe God is calling you to create in 2023? So take a look at those 3 that you have written on that paper, and I'd like for you to star or circle the one that you would say, this is it. This is my clear intention for 2023. So do that now. Go ahead. And as you're circling that, as you're starring that, whatever that is, I want you to find 2 or 3 people that are around you in the home watching this with you. And I'd love for you to have a conversation around why that intention is so important to you. What do you believe God is calling you into in 2023? What is going to be created with your intention this year? Have a robust conversation. Get excited and dream big about all the possibilities with that intention in 2023. And here's what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to get into some specifics. Think about who specifically is going to be impacted. So share names, family, friends, neighbors, coworkers. I want you to share what gift you are going to be for them this year. Think about certain places and circumstances that you find yourself in. How is this going to show up at your work? How is this going to show up at your school? How is this going to show up at your home? And how is this going to show up here at Humanity Church in 2023? So take about 10 minutes, get with 2 or 3 other people, share your intention, and share some specifics around how that is going to show up this year and why that is important to you in 2023. Go for it. I hope that you had some meaningful sharing. The last part of this intention process is coming up with some action items. Now, oftentimes we get all excited about who we're going to be and the changes that we're going to make, and then we fail to execute. Executing is one of the most important parts of creating your intentions for 2023. And here's what I found with most of the clients that I work with myself, with the people around me, is that when we get excited about a new intention, about a commitment, especially in the beginning of the year, we start dreaming big, lofty dreams. I'm gonna go to the gym every single day for an hour. I'm gonna stop getting angry with my kids, and I'm never gonna yell ever again. And while those are really admirable, let's be honest, they're just probably not obtainable. And so here's what I'd like for you to think about. I would like you to think about one action that you can take this week. I'm not going to ask you to dream huge. I'm not going to ask you to think about what you're going to do every single day. I'm going to ask you to think of one action that would be meaningful that you could take this week, right away in the next 7 days. And I want you to get specific. Who's it going to be with? When are you going to do it? What is it going to look like? How are you going to engage that? And then the second thing is I'm going to ask you, what's something that you can do this month? So beyond the next 7 days, in the next month, what are you going to do to start engaging this intention? What are you going to give yourself to put this into practice? If you need some help, ask some people in your group around you for some ideas or for some thoughts as to what an action would look like with that intention. But I want you to be specific. Who is it with? When is it going to be? How long is it going to be? Are you going to have a phone conversation? Are you going to meet in person? Or what are you going to do? And the last action item that I'm going to ask you to take is, who are you going to share about this intention? Maybe it's someone in your group, maybe it's someone else in your life that you're going to ask to support you. And I want you to write down their name, but I also want you to write down the specific request that you have of them. So many times we'll invite people into our lives to support us, and we'll say things like, I want you to hold me accountable, or I'd like you to support me in this. That's great, but I don't know about you, but when people come to me and say, could you hold me accountable? I don't really know what that means. So I'd like for you to think of a specific request that you could make of someone. So maybe your intention is around your finances, and you might ask someone, hey, could I show you my bank statement every week? That might be really bold. Maybe it's something with your kids, and you could ask someone, hey, could I have a conversation with you every Monday in the next month around where I blew it and where I really succeeded with my kids? Maybe it's a spiritual practice that you want to engage in, and you're going to ask someone, hey, could I pray with you once a week? Or could I read the scriptures with you? Or would you call me every single Wednesday, and would you ask me if I've engaged in some type of service? I don't know what it looks like for you, but getting other people involved in your intention is really an important part. Because here's the thing, that if God gives you a God-given intention, it will always involve other people. It will always involve community. So that's what I want you to do right now. Take a second and write down, what am I going to do this week? What am I going to do this month? And what is one person that I'm going to invite into this journey with me? And what's the specific question or request that I will ask for them in my support? So go ahead and do that now. Once you're finished, get with those same 2 or 3 other people, share your action items. Now listen, if you're listening to the action item and you're like, that doesn't sound specific, I'm not too sure how you're going to engage that. If it's like, I'm going to be a better person, have them get specific. Go again. And especially on that last one, if they don't have a name, have them get a name. And if they don't have a specific request, have them get a specific request. All right? So take a minute, write down those action items right now, get with someone, share them, and we'll wrap up our time together. All right. So you have your intentions, you have your action items, something you're going to do this week, something you're going to do this month, and a person that you're going to invite into this. Very, very exciting. So I'm going to ask you to take those and really get serious about them in the next few weeks. I believe that God has so many miraculous openings for us in 2023 if we are willing to renew our minds and live mindfully, live with thoughtfulness, and not just run around like the idiots, like Paul says, but that we would live our lives with purpose and intention. So last thing that I want you to do is your hosts right now have some dog tags and some paint markers. What I'd love for you to do is everyone grab one of those dog tags and grab a paint marker and write your intention on one side and write the date, January 1st, 2023 on the other side. If you want to decorate them or get creative with those, you're welcome to. But put those somewhere on your keychain, put them by your bed, put them in your living room, put them in your kitchen, use them as a bookmark this year, and let that be a reminder of the gift that you are called to be in 2023. That when you find yourself getting distracted, when you find yourself drifting off into other things, when you find yourself living aimlessly and without purpose, as we all will, that this will be a marker to call you back to the intention that you're committed to. Hey, it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful year. I believe our best days are ahead of us, and I am excited to be journeying with you. Just a reminder, I know we haven't had 2 gatherings for the last few weeks, but January 8th, we will be back. We are starting a brand new series called People of the Way. It's also my 40th birthday. So I would love to have you there January 8th at 10 a.m. at the Fox Theater. We will see you there. Hey, keep enjoying your brunch together. Oh, by the way, let's thank our hosts right now. Just give them a round of applause. Thank you guys for hosting today. We will see you January 8th as we start our brand new series, People of the Way. Love you guys.